Ahoy sailor, you probably have seen that the ocean looks a bit more fishy, unless of course you're not really a beach person. If you have, then probably you're here because you're a pescatarian fishing enthusiast or you just like getting some easy scrap. Either way, you're at the right place because I'm gonna tell you everything about the new fishing system. From how to fish to what you can catch and how much scrap you can earn just by fishing. Let's start with the basics of fishing. Firstly, what you need to fish is a fishing rod and some bait. Fishing rod costs only 200 wood and 2 rope to make and is already a standard blueprint. Bait is just any type of food. However, each bait has a different level, which is written in the description of the food itself. The better the bait, the better the catch. Pretty simple. So, how do you fish? The difficulty depends on what kind of fish is on the hook. The better the fish, the more they resist. You should start fishing by dropping the bait as close as possible. Within a few seconds, the fish will bite. When it does, start pressing S to pull it towards you and move the fish to the center of your screen with A and D. If the fish goes too much to one of the sides, center your screen in regard to the bait by moving your mouse. If the bait is next to you and in the center of the screen, the fish will be caught automatically. The important part is not to let the bait go too much to either of the sides and release the hotkeys if the rod starts shaking and making sounds. Otherwise, you will lose it. The easy fish are pretty simple, and most of the times you don't need to release the hotkeys. However, the best way to catch the difficult fish is by hold tapping S and D or A, depending on the side and recentering the camera. If the fish is very close, you can just press S and move the camera. It might take a couple tries, but you will get it if you practice a little bit. Next thing you need to know is where to fish. You need to pick a location for fishing. Currently there are two ways to fish. First one is on the shore or in the fishing village, and second one is in the deep waters, meaning a few grids away from the shore. The fish you can catch differ on the place you're fishing in. Third, it is important to know what kind of bait you should use and what you can catch with it in a specific location. But before that, let's introduce the protagonist of our video, the fish. In the table, you can see the most common fish, what rewards they yield when gutted, and when sold at the fishing village. The first three fish are anchovy, herring, and sardine. They are all unsellable in the fishing village and yield 1 to 2 raw fish and 1 to 5 animal fat when gutted. I will refer to them as small fish further in the video. Next three fish are small trout, salmon, and small shark. I will call them the big fish, and they can be sold in the fishing village. They yield from 4 to 20 raw fish and from 8 to 20 animal fat, depending on the fish. Salmon and small shark has around 20% chance of getting a blue card if gutted. However, it is more worthy to sell them at the fishing village. Other type of fish can be caught in rivers and moon pools, the landing spot for underwater labs. But I did not include it in the video because it was not relevant. Alright, let's move on to the bait. In the following table you can see what kind of baits there are and what rewards they can yield in different fishing areas. Any non-animal food like corn has one bait and you can catch any type of small fish or a random useless item like a skull, water bottle or tarp. The chances of catching any one of them is pretty similar from what I have tested. Worms and grubs, also known as casual rust players, is the type of food you can receive while harvesting regular crops like potato, pumpkin or corn. Worms have 3 bait and yield pretty much the same reward as 1 bait food. Grubs, however, can yield small trout instead of a random item. Raw non-human food has 5 bait and depends on where you are fishing. If you're using this bait, I would always recommend to fish in the deep waters if you want to earn scrap. You can get any small fish or big fish if you're fishing in the deep waters. The chances again are pretty similar for each one of them. This is also the cheapest and the best way to fish that I have found. Last bait worth mentioning is small trout. It has 10 bait, but I wouldn't recommend fishing with it unless you're pretty good in fishing already and don't lose the bait anymore. However, it is the most profitable and time efficient way of fishing. You should always be fishing in the deep water with it and catch almost all of the baits that you use. If you were wondering how much scrap you can earn by fishing, then your question will be answered now. I have analyzed all the ways that you can fish with and came up with the best strategy. By using this strategy, you should be able to earn around 900 scrap per hour if you're using level 5 bait and around 2000 scrap per hour if you're decent at fishing and are using small trout as the bait. So how do you do it? First, bring 30 plus raw animal food as starter bait and 1 to 3 fishing rods, depending on how long you're gonna stay, because they break after a while. Second, I recommend getting a submarine in the fishing village, since it's the safest way to fish. Single seater costs 200 scrap and double seater costs 300. Make sure to go a bit further from the shore so nobody sees you. In case someone starts shooting at you, you just jump in the submarine and start swimming away. Remember that you can keep submarines in a boat base and they do not decay there, so it might be worth building one if you're planning to fish more often. I won't be showing you how, since there are a lot of boat-based building tutorials already. Note that you can also fish on an iceberg, water platform, regular boat or kayak, but then you're more exposed against other people. Third, when you have found your fishing spot, start fishing by using the raw animal food. Try not to lose any bait because almost all the fish you lose are the expensive ones and you will be wasting more time. You can gut all the small fish like herring, anchovy and sardine and use the raw fish you get from them as the bait. Keep the small trout, salmon and shark that you get. Whenever you feel comfortable and stop losing the bait, you can start fishing with small trout until you run out of it. As I mentioned, this is the most efficient way of fishing, so if you want to make even more money fast, you can start buying even more small trout from people by making a vending machine and using it as a bait. If you do run out of bait but you want to fish more, you can always open one of the salmons because it gives you 18 more raw fish. Whenever you're done, go back to the fishing village and sell all your small sharks and salmons. You can keep a few salmons if you want to gut them for raw fish or a blue key card. I have tried fishing like this for 1 hour by using level 5 bait. I initially brought 40 bear meat. I lost a few baits in the beginning, but after selling the fish I got 870 scraps. I have also obtained 17 small trout, which I then used as bait as well. And in less than 15 minutes I got 500 scrap worth of fish, meaning that if you had more small trout you could yield around 2000 scrap per hour. Also, since I have improved in fishing during that hour, I believe I would yield even more scrap the more I fish, because I could catch them faster, but that depends on your personal experience. Oh, by the way, have you ever wondered how can you kill a shark and what do you get by harvesting it? No? Well, I will tell you anyway. So you need scuba gear, spear gun with ammo and a knife. It takes 4 hits with a spear gun and you can harvest 40 animal fat, 40 leather, 18 raw fish and 20 cloth from it. It takes 3 shark hits for you to die from it if you have full HP. So keep your distance. So, that is it for this video. Thank you for watching and consider subscribing if you enjoyed it.